However, if they beat TCU, I'll change my mind about Oklahoma State. But until then, I think TCU and Taj Boykin, I think that's his name.
Trevon Boykin.
Whatever his name is.
Trevon Boykin.
So whatever his name is, I think he's gonna. I think they're gonna win this game by about. And the way they move the ball, probably by about 10, 14 points. Because I know Oklahoma State will put up some points too. I mean, it is a Big 12 game. You know, the Big 12 ain't known for defense.
Yeah, you're gonna see some high scoring game in this one.
I think it's gonna be a 50-something to 40-something football game.
Yeah, both teams points per game this year. 48.9 for TCU and 44 points for Oklahoma State. It's going to be a very good game, without a doubt. Last 5 games, TCU's beaten West Virginia, Iowa State, Kansas State, Texas Tech, and Texas. And you got Oklahoma State who beat Kansas. West Virginia took them to overtime. Kansas State took them a close game. Texas was a close game with them too in UTSA. So, based on common opponents, you can kind of see a thing there. I'm going to go with, well, before I make a pick, Trevon Boykin's been pretty good this year. 28 touchdowns, 5 interceptions, almost 3,000 yards passing. Very good year for him. And so has Marcus Rudolph for Oklahoma State, been pretty good this year too. He's got 12 touchdowns, but 8 interceptions. Needs to tone that down. I think the quarterbacks will be a huge part of this game. I could see Rudolph making 1 or 2 mistakes to mess him up and be able to knock them out of it. So I say a late fourth quarter interception seals the deal for Oklahoma State, and they will lose this game to TCU. I got TCU winning this game by 7 points. I'll be okay with that, 7 points. I don't think it's going to be any higher than that. 10 points if you're going to be at the most. But yeah, 7 points I believe is the difference in this game. ESPN's Football Power Index has TCU win is 67%, 67.8%. So I got TCU winning this game. Now, the granddaddy of, well, I'm not going to say game of the century. This one will, these two teams have very similar playing style about them. Both are smash mouth football teams. They like to run it down your throat. And it's going to be one of those games that I think will dictate the whole entire. This is a playoff implication game. It's going to be interesting.
Oh, no doubt about it.
Alabama's projected to win this game
by 6.5 points.
6.5 points. Football Power Index got Alabama winning it by 59.3%. So, Juicy, who you got in this game?
Well, like you said, they are very similar, and they both do a lot of things very similar alike. And they, in some ways, they almost identical twins of each other. But they both can run the football. They both got good running backs, probably 2 of the best in the country. Both quarterbacks can throw the ball or can make plays when they have to. We know that. Both defenses are real stout because Alabama's defense is giving up 2.6 yards per rush to their opponents, and LSU is giving up 3.3 yards per rush to their opponents. So it could be pretty hard for either one of the running backs to run the ball. But Brandon has come on well as of late. He's got 3 straight games over 200 passing yards. In fact, against Western Kentucky 2 weeks ago, he had a career high 286. So he doesn't rely on Brandon Harris to win the game. I think they should be all right. Because if they stop Leonard Fournette, which I think Leonard Fournette might. He's projected to get 143 rushing yards against Alabama. That's the projection. realistically, I think he's probably going to get about 120, 130. And Derrick Henry, I think he's probably going to get probably about the same, 100 to 140 yards. Jay Coker, he has, ever since the Ole Miss game, he's been playing real well. I'll give him that.
He didn't look good against Tennessee.
For my pick, I'm a true LSU Tiger fan. I have to go with LSU. I think it's gonna be like a 17 to 14 ball game or something like that. Something low scoring, 14-10, somewhere in there.
I'm going to throw out a stat that a lot of people probably overlooked and didn't even look at this at all, which I thought was very interesting when I was researching this game. Up until the show, I had no idea what I was going to pick. I was looking at stats to try to see how this whole thing was going to come out to be. Last year, I picked Alabama to beat LSU, which I was correct about that. But this against the spread is one that I found really interesting. LSU's 4-3 against the spread. Alabama's 3-5. LSU's 1-0 as an underdog. Alabama's 2-5 as a favorite. And when you have a spread that's this close, it's going to depend on what's going to happen. It's supposed to be 67 degrees when game time kicks off at Bryant-Denny Stadium in Tuscaloosa, Alabama, T-Town. Alabama knocked off Texas A&M and they beat number 8 Georgia, but we've seen that Georgia wasn't the same when they lost Nick Chubb. But comparing both these teams, I think if you compare both these teams here, they're very similar in almost every statistical category. If you're looking at quarterbacks, Jake Coker, he has 11 touchdowns, but he has 7 interceptions. Brandon Harris has not thrown an interception at all this year. Leonard Fournette, Derrick Henry, they're like a tie in the position. I do think Leonard Fournette is a little bit quicker than Henry, though, just getting off the ball. Henry runs pretty hard, too, just like Fournette does. Alabama's defensive line. We've been talking about the star people a lot in this game, like Leonard Fournette, Derrick Henry, Jay Coker, and Brandon Harris. But what's going to come down to win this football game for both these teams is who controls the line of scrimmage here. LSU's offensive line has to dominate Alabama's defensive line for LSU to win this football game. Same thing will be said about Alabama. Alabama's defensive line has to knock LSU's offensive line back for Alabama to win the game itself. There's going to have to be an unsung hero in this game come make up a play because it's so evenly stretched down the middle of this game that I think it's gonna be like turnover margin. It will have to be the biggest deal in this game. Field position will play a huge role in this. So it will be very interesting to see who actually wins this game here. Now, as I broke down all that stuff for you, it's gonna be a very close game. I say one possession is either gonna be a field goal or a touchdown. People have been saying that LSU hasn't really played anybody, but they played Florida, who Florida beat the snot out of Ole Miss. Ole Miss who beat Alabama. Well, we can say the same thing back around the other way. Alabama's played Tennessee. They struggled against Tennessee last week.
Yeah, Alabama looked pretty vulnerable against
So, it's going to be very interesting to see who wins this game. And they did play Tennessee at home. It wasn't like they were on the road playing Tennessee either. So, after all that, I say at the end of the day, I think Alabama might be a little overhyped than what they are. And I think LSU will win this game by a touchdown. Because I think there's a little bit of something there that I think Alabama, I picked them last year. So I know Alabama's going to blow up my messages on this thing. It's perfectly fine. You'll do it. But, we're ready for it. So, Alabama, I will give them all the credit in the world. But if they lose this game, there is no way that they should be in this college football playoff. They lose, they're out. That's the way I would feel about it. Now, if LSU loses, I think it depends on how everything else plays out, but I probably wouldn't even put LSU in it either, even though because they lost too late. Alabama had the benefit of them losing early in the season for them to kind of be in this situation. This game can go either way, but I think I'm going to go against Vegas here. I'm picking LSU to beat Alabama this year. And here's a little key note. Here's a little key note in case some people didn't think about this either. The last 2 times LSU was undefeated going into Alabama. Well, let me say it like this. Last time LSU was undefeated, and the last 2 times they played Alabama in Tuscaloosa, and they were undefeated, was 2011 and 2007. Now, they beat them. How many years apart were both those 2 years?
4 years apart. So
4 years apart for each one. So this is cycle. This is a cycle. This is a real cycle going on here because LSU lost Alabama in 2010, I think it was. I think they beat Alabama in 2009, if I remember right.
No, they beat them in 2010.
Okay, they beat him in 10 and they lost him in 9. Yeah, that's true because Alabama went undefeated that year. But yeah, this stuff comes in cycles. I think Alabama's a little down this year. Last year, Alabama barely won against a very young LSU football team too. And Alabama lost Amari Cooper from last year's game too, so they don't have that outside presence like Amari Cooper was. Granted, I still think Alabama still got some good receivers this year. Don't get me wrong about that. I didn't say they were sucked, but I don't think they're as good as they were last year. So yeah, that'll be all for the show today. Woo! Yeah, Mike never. Wait, what?
That was a lot to take in.
Yeah, that was a very good breakdown of that game, I think. It's all going to come down to the offensive and defensive line of both them teams, LSU and Alabama, so it's going to come down to that, I believe. Whoever gets a better jump, whoever hits them harder in the first half of the game, whoever gets more wore out, that's what's going to happen. But another reason why I pick against Alabama, Jake Coker, he has to play flawless football, and I don't think I've really seen enough of Jake Coker do that this year. He's got 11 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. I think they'll shut down. I don't think they'll shut down Leonard Fournette. I think Leonard Fournette's going to go over 100 yards. I think Derrick Henry's going to go over 100 yards. I think they're both evenly matched. Okay, I don't think you could really make a difference between the two teams in that position. It's going to come down to the quarterbacks, and I think Brandon Harris is a better quarterback than Jake Coker. Harris is a game manager. Coker is supposed to be a game manager, but don't take care of the ball as well as Brandon Harris does. But, both of them secondary is going to test these quarterbacks. But I will give Alabama an edge in this department, though. They will win this game because if Nick Saban, he always outcoaches Les Miles. Nick Saban's the better coach of the two. I will say that on the air. You could argue that all you want, Juicy, but Nick Saban, I think, is the. I'm not gonna argue with that. I'm not gonna argue with that. I think Nick Saban's the better of the two coaches because his play calling is so always there. I think it'll come down to quarterbacks in this one and line play. I think that's what's going to come down to. We can talk about Leonard Fournette till we're blue in the face, but if he ain't got a line blocking for him, he's nothing. You got to have a good. You could have the best running back, best wide receiver, and the best quarterback in the world, but if they ain't got an offensive line protecting them, they're going to end up on their backs.
Yeah, you got to have an offensive line.
Yeah, LSU's got a good offensive line. I think they'll do enough in this game to beat it, but it's going to be close. All right, that'll be all. I'm done talking about LSU and Alabama. Now it's the Friday, so let's go party, guys. All right. I like to thank everybody for tuning in and listening to us for this college football week 10 preview, which I think was a great show. I hope y'all enjoyed it as much as I enjoy doing this every week with Juicy. Don't know why Mike hasn't showed up the last 2 weeks. I talked to him yesterday, but apparently he's doing something, or he fell asleep or something. Well, I don't know what happened with him. Shame on Mike. We're going to put Mike on blast. MIA. We still haven't found Mike. I think I should put posters. Where's Mike Honcho at? Around this city of Lafayette here. Where's Mike Honcho? Have you seen Mike Honcho? Where is Mike Honcho? We don't know. That's kind of what's been going on lately. But yeah, like us on Facebook, the Fishbowl Radio. Follow us on Twitter at Fishbowl Nation. We appreciate all the support we get. You could follow us here on Spreaker if you wish, and don't miss an episode there. We'll if you sign up for an account.